Happy Sabbath once again. I want to thank all of you who are joining us online, Facebook, and YouTube. We thank you so much for your comments. I just want to read a few, then read some of the questions that you've written. Abigail Nyaribo says that actually fellowship begins from home to church and extends to society. Everything happens for the good. There's a question here that is directed to Dr. Pacifica. Okay, there's a question here directed to you, Dr. Pacifica. Hi. Okay. We have Frank Mukumu. He says that the government of Kenya should be told that Corona is here to stay. So we should not die of hunger, poverty, and Corona. So he's asking, he's saying that we should sacrifice one for the other. So we will get your view on that. And on Facebook, we have Betty Akoth, who was saying the government is doing very little. She's saying the government is doing very little when it comes to testing for COVID-19, which is raising so much anxiety in the community. So he's asking if the government can do more and what else can you do so to reduce the anxiety and to make sure that the testing is done widely. We want to thank all of you also who have also requested for prayers. We will surely put you in our prayers. And we want to thank all of you who are following us up from the different parts of the country and the world. And may God bless you and continue to be with us. There's still more that is coming up. And please continue bringing in your comments and your prayers and your questions, and they'll all be answered. Thank you.
So, Dr. you can pick that up. There were two questions. I hope you got them. One of our viewers wants to know opportunity cost. Ninja gani? You know, what should we sacrifice? Is it njaa ya corona? I'm sure you got that. And the second one is how much is government doing? There's a feeling that government is not doing enough.
Okay, thank you so much, viewer, for those questions. I just want to start by saying that indeed, Corona has never come before so that the government could know what to do. When they came, this was the best the government could do because I think as it started from China, we were also learning some of the lessons of what has happened, and that is what exactly we are doing. First, we tried to prevent it from coming, but it came, and when it was here, we have tried our best so that we are not able to find ourselves as a government the way the other countries have done. So the issue of stay at home, wash your hands, keep distance, sanitize, and all those were preventive measures to make sure that we don't have an upsurge, that trajectory immediately the corona came. As we continued, I think you've seen the way we have been changing. We made protocols and we are continually making protocols as things unfold. It was just the other day that the WHO director indeed saying exactly what the viewer has said, that Corona is here to stay. And therefore it is up to the government now to adjust, to find strategies of coexisting with Corona. And I think we know that when you are found with something, you first do things in the way you know best, and then now you are given time to be able to adjust and continue living. I think you have seen, we started with the curfew, we came to the lockdown, and the lockdown did not just come for the whole country because of the lessons that were learned from other countries. And therefore, as going forward, I want to believe that the government is very sensitive, that indeed people have stayed enough at home, and we have tried to stop that upsurge of the many positives, and therefore we can be able to allow slowly the economy to pick up, people to be able to go back to work. I think the viewer is aware, and everybody, that like now the restaurants have been allowed to operate, but under certain conditions so that we are not allowing the corona to be able to spread very fast. And I want to believe that other activities, economic activity, will be allowed to continue under some prescribed guidelines, so that as we address the issues of corona and issues of preventing, we are still allowing economy to pick up. And of course, you know that that comes with a lot of advice from the experts in terms of infectious diseases and experts in terms of economic recovery. And the government has done so much to be able to address how those who were affected can be able to be supported in terms of loans, in terms of rent, in terms of many other. And in some areas, the government has actually gone ahead and provided food where it is absolutely necessary.
Thank you, Dr. And viewers who are watching us from home, sorry for the slight interruption we had. We had a power outage, which unfortunately switched our internet, but we're happy to have you back. There's a number that is running on your screen at the moment that offers you counseling services straight from Newlife SDA Church, Nairobi. Feel free to contact us. We'll be able to help you. Doctor, are you done, Dr.?
There was a second question by another viewer,
Yes,
so
please.
that he doesn't feel that
it.
we have ignored the question. The question of testing, I want to be very brief. Testing is a science, and you don't just do it absurdly. It is informed by what has worked in other places, and therefore we see where there is an epidemic, we are able to test there. Testing kits are very expensive, and therefore you don't just go out there and test everybody. You must be informed by the spread of that corona, and that's exactly what you have seen. We started by testing those who are coming in because they were in the countries where there were positives. Once we realize that we have now community transmission, we have gone where the cases have been found, and we want to actually make sure that we are able to keep the positives or the corona within where it has an outbreak. So we cannot test everybody because of the testing cost and because of the viability of the same.
Maybe some clarification, Dr. We've heard about community transmission.
Yes.
Could you just explain our viewers, what does it exactly mean?
Okay, thank you so much. What community transmission means, that from what we had initially, where there was an importation of a positive person who comes and actually gives it was mainly seen from people who are coming in. Now we are seeing where the people who came in, found themselves to the community, gave the virus to the community, and now there is actually people within the community transmitting to one another. That is what community transmission is, unlike what we had before, that actually most of the positives were the people who had come from outside, but now we are having positives from people who have never traveled. That is the community transmission.
Thank you for that clarification. Elder Manyara, we were talking about the effects of economic effects of COVID-19 earlier, and I've fears that this pandemic has an impact on our spirituality, because if from the Maslow, hierarchy of needs, if my basic needs are not being met, I'm hungry, I don't have money, can I really be spiritual?
Okay, thank you. In fact, the greatest impact may not even be economic, it will be spiritual. People are asking, God, where were you when this was coming? Because I could go out, look for my food. Now I'm here, depending on what? Handouts. Because we know God is in control. He is the supreme being. He is the one who created us. And they knew this virus was there. And most people are angry with God. They are asking, why did you allow this? Number two, there are even those families who have lost their loved ones to corona. And you can imagine when the government comes to bury your kin and you are told to keep off, you can imagine the kind of anger people will have towards God. We could not even be allowed just even to place a flower. Then there are others. Most of us love enjoying fellowship in church. Now we are at home. Where do we start from? Do I watch Hope Channel? Do I watch Radio Neema on Facebook from Newlife? Do I watch Lavington? What do I do? Sometimes you even find your children, some of them on Sabbath, are hiding in their bedrooms. It becomes one of the biggest challenges. And it is not the first time people are feeling like that. And even from our theme, it's okay not to be okay. Remember, many people have asked God the same questions. Check Job chapter 23. Job could not understand how God was working. I look to the north, I don't understand. To the south, everywhere. He cannot understand why all these calamities. It's only me and my wife who have remained. And still, I cannot understand. Jeremiah could not understand why people were progressing, those who were evil, when those who were righteous were suffering. Our Lord himself, when he was on the cross, he asked God, why have you forsaken me? Many times some of us become angry. Some of us start questioning our faith. And sometimes we now become even susceptible to so many errors and so many spiritualism. Like I want to mention one thing. There's a lady called Sylvia Brown. I know many of us have seen that going on WhatsApp. That she prophesied that around 2020 there will be a pneumonia-like illness that will come to the world. Then it will disappear as fast as it came. Then it will reappear after 10 years and then disappear completely. People are believing. If you go to the streets, those books are there, they're being sold. But who was Sylvia Brown? A spiritualist. I don't have time maybe to talk much about that, but that was not a prediction at all. The only thing I want to assure our viewers is that if you go to the book Great Controversy, page 589, paragraph 2, we should not forget that Satan is also working in this world. He works through the laboratories of nature. And we can understand this from the life of Job, where he could go to God and ask for permission. So even with this corona, we need to understand it will only occur and exist in the world as far as God will allow it. And interestingly, we should put our trust in God even when we cannot have answers to the questions that we are asking God.
Thank you. So we should draw from Job, really. We shouldn't tempt God. The suffering will be there, but there's hope. At the end of the day, it's okay not to be okay. That's the message. But as I come to you, Jacqueline, there's a song that I don't know what we will do about it in Newlife. What fellowship? What do we do? You know, we always hug. I can see, I've never seen firm handshakes in this church other than that time when we sing that song. So we are coming back here soon, hopefully. Do you think COVID-19 is going to affect our spirituality?
I agree that COVID-19 has affected our spirituality and it will affect. As we've been told, it's here to stay. It's up to us to adjust. I'm with you in that song. I usually look forward for that time when we are singing Water Fellowship. That's when I'll walk from where the church choir sits to another corner and I will not feel judged. I will not feel anything. I'm going to say hi to somebody and I really feel nice when I do that. That's when I even greet the children that I'm really passionate about. But this one we will have to adjust. We will either look for a way of greeting one another, or we will have a different song that will help us do something that will still make us feel like we've fellowshipped. But again, I still feel like people will have lost something. Personally, I feel like I've already lost something. I've missed church for several times. I've always shared with my husband, like, when will we go back to church? When will we go back to church? I miss dressing up on Sabbath, going to church. I used to take it for granted. I used to take it for granted just coming here and talking to somebody, or even just talking to Aflin, like, how was your week? How are you doing? How has it been? I've missed that. The only thing we can do it on phone. I don't want to go out there and start walking and contact this disease. So that will happen when we come to church. And it will make people start behaving differently. And some people will not understand. A good example, my mom told me last week when I've always been talking to her about COVID-19. And she's like, whenever she wears her mask, when she's going to the shopping center to buy something, people tell her that you think you will not die. It sounds so bad when it's said in vernacular that you think you will not die. Mbona unajifanya kimbelembele sana? Are you the only one who knows how to follow what the government says or something? To an extent that she had to go to the police post around there and ask for permission. Would you please allow me to go to church and just pray? I'll be alone. Okay, we laughed about it. And to me, I felt her. She has missed it, and she has been saying that whenever I pray in the house, I'll pray, yes, but to me it's like a routine. There's something I'm missing. I'm used to going to church on Sabbath, not sitting down and watching TV, someone preaching. I can't ask that person anything, So it has already started affecting us, and I'm very sure it will still affect us until when we'll now get used to it, stabilize, adjust, and look for a different way.
Thank you. So clearly our spirituality is on trial, and looking at Jacqueline's face, she's really affected. I hope this crisis ends soon so that she comes to church and sing, because I know she loves singing. Evelyn, let's go back to the Bible. There are two instances which are, maybe we can draw our examples from. You look at Sodom and Gomorrah. The cities were destroyed because they disobeyed God. But when you look at Nineveh, where Jonah was sent to minister, the city was saved because they repented. Do you think God is punishing us with COVID-19?
I strongly believe God has a message for us. And to me, it is not a punishment. I think God wants us to be reawakened to the fact that we are the people who believe in a God who does marvelous things. At times it just hits my head and I ask myself, I try to imagine how someone who does not believe in a God, someone who does not have a God, someone who does not know how God is great in his mercy and how he promises us that there's a hope, that there is a future. I'm just trying to imagine how this person must be going through so much, just not knowing that there is God. But we who have God, I think it is time that God is trying to let us know that we are the light of this world. That we need to really put our lights up there and let everyone know that beyond this, there's a God that we need to reach out to. Because it comes to a point when you just need an assurance. You need someone to just tell you, it is fine. It is okay. We will overcome this. At times people say, we will overcome, we'll go beyond this. And there are many challenges that even the youths have been doing music and using music just as a way of ministry to tell people that we will overcome. And they sing it out so loudly. And just a way to tell people there is a God. And in this time is trying to reassure us that he will save his people and is out there for his people. Much as the two instances, God tried to save the people of Nineveh, yes, because they repented. This is a time that God is trying to tell us to look back. What is it that we have been doing? Have we been so much far from our families? We only rush to church to get refuge and get back home and beat our wives and are not in good terms with our children. God is telling us, go back home, start it from the families. Make peace with your wife. Make peace with your mom. Make peace with your children. Let them know that you are restoring their position as the priest in that family. Let them know that our father, what is actually the priest in this family, is actually doing these things right now. We have never seen him do this. So I think, to me, God is speaking to us and telling us, yes, we might have gone astray, but it is time that we looked back and appreciated the little things that we really didn't appreciate then. Then he will save us.
Thank you, Evelyn. God is speaking to us clearly. Daktari, as we get to the tail end of this discussion, let's get to the individual level now. I am Jason, I'm an individual, no church now, no family. What are some of those telltale signs I need to look for? When I was reading your profile, there was this expression, psychological wellness, which I didn't understand very well. Then there's check your mental health. You know, I don't know, I don't have a barometer. I don't know what checks mental health anyway. So at individual level, what should I do in the face of this crisis?
Thank you so much. I think last time when I was speaking about the economic effect, though we didn't finish, but allow me to say that before the family is affected or the church, the individual is affected, because the individual makes the family makes the church. I don't want to insist that one. So when we get it right with an individual, then I think as you see as kid, then everything would be fine. We've talked much about the effect. What has happened with COVID-19? There was a change. The government gave directive, stay at home, do this and things, something that we have never had before. And we said at the level of economy, people lost their business because they were not going and all those things. Now, at individual level, then we find on how somebody is able to respond to the change because of the changes. And that response does not only affect the physical, but it also affects the psychological. In fact, the mental first, because that is where you start to make decisions. That is where it starts by how you are going to respond to this. My business is lost. What next? Are you getting that? It is that response and that kind of that will make you remain changed, remain a person of the changed. So at individual level, we have found people who have not changed so much, people who are so much worried about what next. Am I going to contract the disease? What next? My business, I'm not going to work. What next? I don't have money. What next? Are you seeing that? Some are even saying, I don't have medicine because Corona did not stop the other ailments. So there are so many changes that has happened at individual level. And then when it comes to now the psychosocial response, the way you respond to that change, that stress, because it is come with the stress, will depend on how you come out as a person. I want to give you an example. The other day, somebody called me and said, my child is only 19, and the blood pressure now is actually 178/115. He says he can't breathe and whatever. I realized that was actually anxiety. I told them what to do. They calmed down, the pressure came down. We are going to respond in many ways. There are those who are responding by having constant headaches, backaches, even chest pain, body aches which you can't explain. You go to the hospital, you are tested, and you can't even, they say we can't see anything. There are people who will run down the whatever so fast that they actually develop now frank mental illness in terms of depression, post-traumatic stress, because stressful situation, now you are getting post-any stress because it's over 1 month. And this comes with various symptoms, lack of sleep, lack of appetite, lethargy, feeling tired all the time, and just feeling like you don't want to talk to people, withdrawn, irritable, and all those things. At individual level, once people have gone that they need help, and that is now the second part, then how do we get this help? You start by having it yourself. What do? Reflect on what's happening. This thing has affected everybody, not you alone. Try to have a healthy mind. How do you do it? Think positively. The way this thing came, it will go. Hello? So that you are able to have a future. Look at the future with hope, not because you think that all is going to. When you think that you are going to be gotten, listen to what the government is saying. There are people who have gotten, who are positive and who have gotten well. So tell yourself, even if you get this corona, you are likely to get well, so that you are having positive thinking. Because the moment you have the negative thoughts, you are likely to be affected, not just the psychological or even the physical. What I would advise is that if you find yourself with such symptoms, you reach out for help. Newlife has a line, but even at government level, we have actually psychosocial teams that have got the lines. For example, the 719 is not only about COVID, about whether you are sick, but you can also get the psychosocial support from there. And also we have the 8082 200 through Safaricom. But you can reach out to professionals, the ones you know. They are just a phone call away, even though they social distance, but you can call and you are able to be helped. Finally, I want to say this. As a church, it is not a weakness to be affected when these things come. You are a human being even when you have believed. After all, the Bible says even Jesus did what? Wept. So this emotional response are normal for Christians, and it doesn't mean that you are a weaker person because you have maybe suffered that kind of illness. There is still hope. You still maintain your spirituality and still reach out to get hope and get help from the professional. Thank you.
Thank you for, so let's invest in hope, really the power of positive thinking. And when last time I checked, hope I think is one of the pillars of the Christian faith. Hope, faith, and love. So really we apply those ones and we're in good state. Jacqueline, I come to you. There are statistics coming out that because of COVID-19, people are not seeking medical attention for other diseases. We've forgotten all the others, actually. In fact, there was a piece in the papers that our hospitals, not just in Kenya, everywhere in the world, are actually empty. So as a counselor, what will you tell the people watching us this afternoon or this morning, depending on where they are? When you feel unwell, what should you do? Because now COVID-19 is COVID-19.
Virus. So it is okay to be scared. How